Hi, my name is Matt Carroll with World Class Coaching, and with the help of Academy Sports Coach 2024, I want to talk to you about a session that I'm planning on running today with my U9 girls team. So I've predominantly been coaching boys, especially in soccer. I coached some softball back in the day when I was still looking for additional, coaching opportunities. But really, this is my first real go of things with the girls side of soccer. So working with them has been, it's been awesome. They're very energetic. They're willing to learn. It's been definitely a different change in pace in some of the techniques and things that I use when talking to some of the the U9s that I had on the boys side. So I'd love to hear in the comments section some of the differences that you found and some of the things that you found that work a little bit more that maybe weren't as effective on the boys side that do work on the girls side and vice versa. So with our last session, what we did was I want to continually kind of work on the scanning element as kind of like our starter every single day is really hammer that home. I think we did it on our last session, and I think it came off fairly well. And some players really benefited from it. They were able to communicate what they were seeing and make decisions. And some it's a lot. It's a lot to take in. They don't know how to read the information. The decision to turn and take your head off the ball and away from where the action is kind of a little bit nerve-wracking for some of them. And counter to kind of what they have been taught, watch the game, stay involved, and you're telling them to not watch what's going on with the ball, which is the most immediate action. So we're going to hammer that home. And then one thing I found that is when we don't transition well from offense to defense to offense, we stay compact or we stay wide. I think we do a better job. They do a great job of getting to the ball defensively. There's still some issues there, but especially when we win the ball and there isn't that explosion into width and space. So that's something we're going to work on in this session. So, but the way I want to start it is just I want to do a color code game where they're making a decision based on the colors that the coach holds up. So they do something along those lines. I haven't really decided there. But then after that, to make it as game-like as possible, we'll do 1v1 here where the player plays to the player in the middle. This defender then would tell them to go to either side and force them one way. And the attacker here is going to scan, check their shoulder, and look for where the defender is and make the best decision possible from that, just working on the scanning aspect. So we go from scanning with a drill in which they're reading the visual cue of just like a cone or a color and kind of connecting their brain to, hey, I turn my head, I look at something and I make a decision. And again, I think there's like some different schools of thought, and I've read some books that have said things along the lines that it's not that effective, that it doesn't like kind of translate into a realistic game experience. But I think it does if you couple it with something along this line. If you couple it with actually visually reading, we can work on the technical aspects of scanning through the color cones, and then we can actually work on the decision making when you have a live opponent. So then they go 1v1, and then we just transition where this player then becomes a defender, this player becomes the passer, and this player becomes the dribbler. So we'll reset that here. So we're going to get into movement off the ball. So the one drill, I really like this because I think it forces the players a lot to think. I do this even with my high school team. I make it one touch, ball can't stop, things like that, up the challenge level for the high school age level. But I think I need one more cone. I think at any age level, just the processing that this drill takes, very simple drill. But I think the processing and the thought process it takes can definitely translate into the game. So we need 2 more. So super simple. We have 4 essentially boxes. I usually just do the cones this way. It's a little easier for setup, especially if you're setting up like high school. I'm setting up like, sometimes we'll have 80 players out for a tryout. I'm setting this up, millions. It's hard to kind of outline the box. And if you just do 5 yards out from the middle cone, it's a little bit easier from a coach setup perspective. So players here's got a ball. They pass to this player. Now, again, at the high school level, it's one touch. Ball can't stop. You're not, you can't play short pass and it dies. The ball has to keep moving, or there's some kind of punishment where they have to do sit-ups, pushes, whatever. But here, this player passed, so they have to move to a new grid, or the 4 grids here, 1, 2, 3, 4. So they move here. They cannot move to the grid they just passed to because that player is going to have to make a decision. And you can't have 2 players in the same grid. So this player can stay here. This player shuffles over here, and this player then needs to pass the ball and then move. So essentially what can happen is you find patterns, things like that. Like if you get one player just constantly rotating in the middle, people are like, oh, it's cheating. They figured it out. It's like, well, that's what you want. You want the players to be able to find patterns and find solutions to the issue. So essentially when I see that, I I tell the players, you unlocked it. Let's up the difficulty, and I maybe make it a little more challenging, so you don't have just one player running around in circles. But that is a solution to the problem. So that you find that I wouldn't be like, oh no, you're cheating. I would say like, well, you found a solution. Let's up the difficulty. That's what we're looking for these players to find patterns that are effective. Because we're going to do the same thing in the game. There's overlapping patterns that if you ever listen to Marcelo Bielsa talk about the game, he really breaks it down to like, although it's fluid, there's different actions that are repeated, a lot of different movements that you can find similarities in with, we're watching a U12 game or an Arsenal game or whatever it may be. So we're looking for those synchronatic patterns. Looking for patterns. We're looking for them to have systems that will break the rules implemented by the game. So again, you can increase that. For the U9s, I'm going to have it 2-touch. The ball can stop. And just have them work it out and working a lot on the communication aspect, and hopefully, have them using verbal and visual cues to direct each other. And then we'll go from there. So what I would do is I'm going to make this a little bit bigger, and I'm just going to do. Maybe I'll do it this way. I'm just going to make a bunch of cones. I'm going to make it boxes. Now I've only got 8 tonight. If I had 9, I would have a neutral. That would be a really great way to create overloads, but I only have 8. I'm even number tonight. I got 1 player missing and 1 player that's out. So what we'll do is essentially have 8. So I'll have 4 boxes. I'll make them a little bit bigger. Oops, I made way too many. And in each box, I'll have a player in black, and then I'll have a player in yellow. And we'll play a game here. I think it would work a little bit better if we had the additional player to create the overloads. But essentially what we'll have is we're playing keep away. So black is trying to possess against yellow. Yellow is trying to possess against black. But they're not allowed to leave their grids. So we're looking at evading, right? Evading our attacker. And if we all just run to the ball here, what's going to happen is it's going to be very easy to mark us out because we're all in the same area. So maybe we check in. The yellow player recognizes everyone's checking in. We check out. And we'll work on creating space and width and things like that and movement. So now if yellow wins the ball here, we're immediately going to have to get compact to mark this player out. They're going to try to get wide, and we're trying to block things off. And I have 3 established questions that I want to talk to them about. So why do we get big when we have the ball? So I think this is a good drill to kind of bring in those questions. Like, why are we expanding? Why are we getting so width and depth? Why are we getting so big when we win the ball? And why are we getting so compact defensively? Like, how does that help us? And then I wanted, the third question is to integrate with the scanning aspect of how will scanning help us do both of those things. So how can we scan to recognize when we should get big? Hey, we're about to win this ball. I can kind of see it. Where's the defender? Oh, the defender's over here. If I get wide over here, I'm going to be a lot more open, and vice versa for the defensive aspect. So utilizing scanning as a tool within the context of width, depth, compactness, and the different principles we're trying to implement in this game. So from here, what I would do is one of my favorites, just a simple transition rondo. I got 8, so I'm going to go 4v2. Where I'm going to have 2 players in this grid and 2 players here. And then 4 players in black in this grid. And they're going to recognize pretty quickly, and if not, we're going to stop it, that they can't mark out the 4 players because they're outnumbered. So what they're going to try to do is they're going to try to make the field small, deny passing lanes, use pressure and cover, which is a concept we just introduced to them. And if they win, they're going to play over here to yellow and transition. And then only 2 black players can come over here to defend the 4 yellow players. So when we get the ball, yellow is going to want to get wide, open the field up, use all the space available, and vice versa, black is going to want to get tight, compact, and block off passing lanes. and we'll talk about the 3 questions we discussed and how we can utilize those concepts in game to make better decisions based on what we're seeing. So from here, I would go into the scrimmage, and we'll talk about and use that verbiage of width, depth, and compactness, and discuss, maybe freeze games occasionally to be like, hey, could you have scanned to see this opportunity? Hey, what if we got wide here? Do you see all the space? And freeze and show them the elements, especially players that are wingers that tuck in defensively, and then don't get back out. Hey, look over here. Look what's over here. Show them the forward lines that they have available and see how scanning and width, depth, and compactness can improve their game. So once again, my name is Matt Carroll with World Class Coaching and the Help Academy Sports Coach 2024. I hope the session finds you well.